I'm going to do a short presentation on Aunt Polly. It was a glass pattern that was made in the late 1920s by U.S. Glass. I have here an ad that is identified as a Sears ad for Depression type Aunt Polly glass from 1927. You can see the upper part here is Aunt Polly, the lower part I believe is Colonnade. And as you can see in these pieces here, what's missing from this set of dishes are cups and saucers as well as plates. Those proved to be non-existent, at least the cups and saucers were never made. There were sherbet plates and luncheon plates, but no dinner plates made in this pattern. Most of the Aunt Polly that was made in blue, although there were some pieces made in green, and then a few were made in this iridescent color as well. Here's going to my collection now. The first piece I'm going to show you is a pitcher, which is one of the pricier pieces. It holds about 48 ounces, and it has this really beautifully scalloped edge here, which I really like. The colonnade comes down, and then you have the diamond patterning here. The other name for Aunt Polly was diamonds, and I think one of the ads from Sears from that era notes it as diamonds. The bottom of some Aunt Polly pieces have this nice radiating kind of sunburst or starburst, as do a lot of pieces of glassware from the Depression era. It was a very heavy glassware. Not sure if that's going to show, but it feels more like one of those old beer pitchers that we all used to drink beer out of when we were in college. The next piece I'm going to show you is the tumbler. The tumbler is about 3.5 inches tall, and it holds 8 ounces. It has the same diamond patterning with the columns, the burst on the bottom. And these aren't too hard to find. The next piece I'm going to show you is the berry bowl, which is 4.5 inches. Again, it has the diamond, the columns, and the sunburst. On my particular setting, I do not have any luncheon plates or for Aunt Polly, so I placed the berry bowl on the sherbet plate, which seem to be somewhat easier to come by. The sherbet plate is about 6 inches, and then I just placed it on a white American Sweetheart plate, so it'd have a little bit larger plate to eat off of. In the back here is the large round berry bowl. It measures about 7.5 inches across. It's a fairly good size berry bowl. The next one I'm going to show you is the sherbet. These are pretty easy to come by. It has the columns and the diamond pattern, but it does not have the radiating marking on the bottom like the bowls and the pitchers and the tumblers do. And I just simply placed it on another sherbet plate, which I have a number of. Some of the pieces that are harder to come by are the creamer, sugar, butter dish, luncheon plate, and the vase. I've actually never seen a vase. The only vase I've ever seen has been in a Jean Florence book. Here is the creamer I have. Again, it's fairly heavy. It's got a very nicely formed pouring lip. Some of them have kind of flatter lips that don't pour as well, but this was one of the pieces that was made quite well. And alongside of that, I have the two-handled candy dish. And the candy dish, the lid for this is very hard to find. The candy dish is not that rare, but the lid, which can be used, I believe, interchangeably with the butter dish, is very difficult to find. And here I have the oval vegetable or pickle dish. It's about 7 inches, 7.25 inches long, but fairly narrow. And it's pretty easy to find. This one is not hard to find. And over here I have my friend who is sitting on one of my 2 pieces of green Aunt Polly, my Erin, my Irish friend, who's guarding my green Aunt Polly and his little pot of gold. And it compares pretty well, the dishes compare pretty well in terms of the sherbet. They're about the same size. Again, the sherbet does not have the radiating pattern on the bottom. The only thing that I can really say is if you want to collect Aunt Polly, you're probably going to need the luck of the Irish, because trying to find these pieces, especially the plates and the sugar and the butter dish, you're really going to need some luck.
Hello, Jeffrey McFadden here, helping Mary Hillier with her presentation on Aunt Polly. I would like to thank Mary for taking the time to show us her collection, and now I'm going to show you some pieces that I have of Aunt Polly myself. Aunt Polly was made by U.S. Glass, as Mary explained, in the late 1920s. U.S. Glass Company was a conglomeration of several companies that gathered together in the late 1800s and formed the U.S. Glass Company. There were several different factories that made glass. The last 2 that closed were Tiffin and Glassport, Indiana factory. So Tiffin actually closed in 1963. It was the last one of the U.S. Glass companies to actually be functioning. So Aunt Polly comes in several different colors. Well, actually 3. That's not several, but more than 1. So here is a green vase. I have a blue vase here with some flowers in it. Have a sugar and creamer in blue. A sugar and creamer in the iridized marigold color. I have a 2-handled candy dish, an 8-inch plate, and atop the 8-inch plate, which is the largest plate in the pattern, are the beautiful blue salt and pepper shakers. They have a fabulous blue color to them. Nice pattern on the bottom. Those would be the original tops on the salt and pepper shaker. All the design work is on the inside of these bowls and dishes, which seems rather backwards to me. So I don't know, that might have been one of the reasons that Aunt Polly was not quite so popular. The sugar bowls technically do not match. However, you can see that the finials on them and the handles on them match. The bottoms both have the diamond star in the bottom. Both of them have that. But as you can see, the designs on the top lids are different. The creamer has the diamond pattern in blue, the star in the bottom. The creamer in amber just has a faceted side and the star on the bottom. So they don't actually match completely, but the handles and the finials are what makes them part of the pattern. The butter dish is really probably one of the more expensive pieces to have. The finial again matches the sugar bowl, so it's this little, almost like, I call it like a candy dish sort of finial on it. Again, the pattern is on the inside of the butter dish. The outside is smooth. The bottom of the butter dish is smooth. The rim is rather plain on the butter dish. The pitcher is quite substantial, as Mary pointed out in her presentation. The oval bowl. They refer to this in the book as a vegetable bowl, but you could use it for almost anything that you wanted. And again, pattern on the inside of the bowl. The star is like sort of pressed into the bottom on the outside, so the bottom is smooth, but the sides have the raised design on them. The sherbets on the sherbet plate And those could be used as for bread and butter as well as a top of sherbet. I just have a white plate underneath them just to bring out the pattern and the color. So you could mix these dishes with a lot of different colors. Like let's say you were having a baby shower, you could mix some pink dishes with the blue. This would be a pretty pattern at Easter. You could put yellow with this pattern. The tumblers, Mary pointed out, are rather short, but they do hold a fair amount of liquid. They're pretty heavy. I I had promised Maureen that I was going to put a little Irish thing on the table, but I started looking at my sad little shamrock plant, and I decided Mary's Irish display was going to have to be enough. This is a two-handled pickle dish. Again, pattern on the inside with the lovely typical handles. So if you see these little handles on here with these little thumb, I call them thumb holders. So you pick this up and you have a place for your thumb. That is very indicative of this pattern. You can see that as well on this two-handled. They call this a two-handled candy dish. This is another one that does not have the pattern on the bottom. It's just smooth across the bottom. There's no star. So some of the pieces have the star on the bottom, some do not. I'm going to add some more pieces to my Aunt Polly collection, hopefully very soon. And I hope to find there's the only one piece that I do not have there or have not been able to acquire as of yet is there is a small candy dish that's very, very short, has the typical thumb handles on them, just like on the sugar bowl here. And the sugar lid will actually fit on that candy bowl. I believe in Mary's presentation, she thought that the butter lid might fit on that, but it does not. So that's a correction from her presentation. Some people think that this butter lid is supposed to fit on this little candy bowl right here, and you can see that it does not fit at all. So a very pretty pattern, not easily found in my opinion. Certain pieces will appear every now and then on eBay, Etsy, etc., etc. But the most expensive pieces in the pattern are definitely the pitcher, the butter dish, and the salt and peppers. I've never seen the salt and peppers in green, only in blue. I'm not 100% sure they were made in green, actually. But that is Aunt Polly. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Good night.